Hi, I'm Roger. Welcome back to my own little kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to be making a shepherd's pie. Now in America, a lot of times people think of shepherd's pie as ground beef. That's actually cottage pie. Shepherd's pie is made with ground lamb. And that's what I'm using today. Now I've cut the recipe in half because it's just going to be for my wife and I. The oven is ready. I have it turned on to 425. I have heat on under the pan so we can start. While the potatoes are boiling away, I'll start with the filling. A couple tablespoons of olive oil, and then we will add the ground meat. Now again, this is ground lamb. I'll turn that down a little bit. I'm going to move it off the heat a little bit for it to settle down while I'm breaking it up. Then I'll put it back on the stove. I have it over medium heat. You don't want to brown it so that it's crispy on the outside without being cooked on the inside. So we'll let this cook about 7 minutes or so. And then I'll add one small chopped onion, one small chopped carrot. I have thyme that's been chopped up, and parsley, 1 tablespoon of each. For the topping, when we get that far, I have the potatoes boiling, I have half a cup of milk, I have a cup and a half of beef stock, and I have 1 tablespoon of butter. Because this is an Irish dish, Kerrygold butter is an Irish butter. It's got a little more fat content and less water than American butters. I also have some Irish grated cheese that's going to go on top. You want to break it up as much as possible. You don't want big lumps. And when you make this, you can either put it in a large casserole, or if you want individual ones, you can do it in smaller ramekins. I like to use a larger one so that when mine is gone I can take some for my wife. I have a much bigger appetite than she does. Alright, so the meat is pretty much cooked. There's a little bit of pink left, but I'm not going to worry too much about that because it's all going to go into the oven and bake a little bit more. So now I'll add the onion, the carrot, the thyme that's been chopped up, and the fresh parsley that's been chopped up. Now I added the onions and carrots to the meat. Another way of doing it is to take the meat out and put it in a pan by itself or in a bowl and cook the onions and carrots separately. But this way I like it because the meat gets more of the flavor from the onions, the carrots, and the spices. Now I'm going to add, at this point, just about a 1/4 teaspoon salt and a 1/4 teaspoon black pepper. Lamb's one of those things that people either love or hate. When I was a kid, my mom would cook it for special occasions. My oldest brother would pick at it. My sister would pick at it. Then my next brother and I and my folks would just dive in. So the onion is softened. The carrot has softened. The meat is fully cooked now. I'm going to take it off heat. And with a slotted spoon, I'm going to put it into this dish. You don't want to pour it directly into the dish because I'll show you when I'm done, but there's a lot of fat that comes off of the lamb. It could make the dish watery. Also put it on the greasy side, and you don't want that. So I've drained the potatoes, and what I'm going to do now is put in the butter, and the milk, and mix it up really good. And what you want to remember is you want to try to season everything on every layer. So I'm going to add about another 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. And there you have the potatoes. Now, you can make a decision at this point on how fancy you want to make it. You can let it cool for a little bit and put it in a piping bag with a large nozzle and pipe it over the top. If you're in a rush for time, you can just take it, gently scoop it in, a lot of times if you get this in restaurants, you'll see that it's piped in and it has the ridges on it. And you'll want to very carefully smooth this to as close as the edges as you can get. Try to keep it in an even layer. Some of the juices are going to try to come up, but that's okay. The reason why you want to try to seal it is so that it doesn't bubble over while you're cooking it in the oven. And there you have it. What I like to do is I almost always put things on cookie sheets when I put them in the oven, or pizza pans, so that in case things boil over, they don't go in your oven. in the oven. We'll put it in for about 12 minutes. From the song that I hear, from the angels singing, I can tell that it's done. Now we'll turn off the oven and we'll put on the broiler. And while the broiler is coming on, we'll take the shredded cheddar cheese, sprinkle it over the top, and there you have it. Authentic shepherd's pie. You'll want to let it sit a little bit to cool down, because if you ate it now, you'd burn the top of your mouth off. But this is how you make it. Thank you for joining me in my own little kitchen. This is Roger until next time.